Here's a fascinating crime piece from a 1994 newspaper in which a lowly bowling ball was used as what could be called a getaway car in a smuggling ring case. The article is entitled, "Bowling for Dollars." Federal agents on Long Island say they have seized the world's most expensive bowling ball, worth more than $210,000. But despite its value, the ball was not much good at knocking down pins since it wobbled erratically when it was rolled. That was because the ball's core was stuffed with 2,100 $100 bills, federal officials said yesterday in announcing the breakup of a sophisticated Colombian money laundering ring that was smuggling drug money out of the country in homemade bowling balls. "I thought we'd seen everything until this," said Customs Agent Michael Nestor of the arrest Saturday of Miguel Cobo, 38, a Colombian national, and the seizure of the bowling ball. "This puts an end to bowling for dollars on Long Island." Agents found a small bowling ball manufacturing shop in the basement of the dingy yellow colonial-style house Cobo rented on Salt Box Court in the village of the Branch, said Nestor, the head of the U.S. Customs Services money laundering unit in the metropolitan area. The basement of Cobo's house contained molds and resins to make bowling balls, Nestor said. Agents also found $90,000 in cash and evidence that Cobo had mailed 2 similar bowling balls to Cali, Colombia in the last month, Nestor said. Although the chemical resins are very smelly, Nestor said, their odor could not be detected outside the house. But he said the chemicals were highly flammable and rags soaked in them were lying about unprotected. To make the money-laden balls, Cobo first sealed the tightly packed $100 bills in a plastic capsule, Nestor said. Then he coated the capsule with resin in a ball mold. All the equipment and chemicals can be purchased relatively inexpensively, he said. An X-ray would not show up anything unusual, Nestor said. The finished product looks like a high-quality ebonite bowling ball, except that it wobbles when rolled, Nestor said. Agents had suspected that Cobo was somehow involved in money laundering because they observed him for the past several months at stores that specialize in money changing and transmitting money overseas in Jackson Heights, Queens, and other metropolitan neighborhoods, according to an affidavit filed by Customs Agent Mark Britt. "He was the hardest guy to surveil we ever had," Nestor said, adding that Cobo would continually evade agents in cars. Finally, Nestor said, Customs agents had to use helicopters and light planes to follow him around the metropolitan area. On Saturday, agents believed that Cobo was aware he was being followed, so they stopped him. An associate who drove up to Cobo's house had the bowling ball in his car for some undetermined reason, authorities said. Agents became aware of how the bowling ball was being used when they entered the house and found the ball-making equipment, Nestor said. According to Britt's affidavit, Cobo eventually stated the bowling ball equipment belonged to him, that he was making the bowling balls to send them to Colombia filled with money. Britt said when he told Cobo that agents knew this was all drug money, he put his head in his hands and began to sob. Cobo, who is from Cali and says he is an automobile mechanic, rented the house in November through a real estate agent for $1,600 a month with an option to buy, said landlord Girolamo Gambino. One neighbor on the cul-de-sac said Cobo had lived in the house along with his wife and young daughter for less than a year. He said federal officials began staking out the house about 2 a.m. Saturday, and a raid involving at least 5 Suffolk County police cars and 1 state trooper occurred sometime around noon. "They're very quiet people. I hardly ever see them. Nobody ever thought anything of it," he said. Another resident said they were perfect neighbors. Cobo was scheduled to have a bail hearing yesterday at U.S. District Court in Hauppauge on a financial reporting charge called structuring, but the hearing was delayed until tomorrow so he could consult with his attorney according to Assistant U.S. Attorney Bonnie Clapper in the office of U.S. Attorney Zachary Carter. Clapper said she has heard of cases in which money has been smuggled out of the country in furniture, dolls, appliances, and cartons, but this is the first time she has ever heard of bowling balls being used. Kobo's attorney, Daniel Baraskin, could not be reached for comment.